Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. 6:07 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on a very busy Monday morning, and it's just going to get busier, so strap in. We've got a lot to unpack. Starting at 6:35, Manda Zand Ervin will join us. She's with the Alliance of Iranian Women. At 7:05, Joe DeGeneva, our regular Monday morning guest. 7:35, Jonathan Schanzer, Foundation for Defense of Democracies. 8:05, Caroline Glick. She, of course, is an advisor on international affairs to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And at 8:35, the chairman of the RNC, Michael Whatley. Talk about how sad things are over on the other side of the aisle. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
President Trump, late Saturday evening, flanked by Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, addressed the nation from the East Room, all three wearing dark suits with red ties, except J.D. Vance, who had a blue tie.
Don't read into it.
Yeah, everyone will. Here's President Trump's announcement.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's number one state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue.
And President Trump did what so many of his predecessors failed to do. And in fact, famously, President Biden and President Obama actually decided to engage with Iran and make a nuclear deal with them and give them pallets of cash. And that didn't work out very well either. The actual details of the military strike started to unfold yesterday. Jennifer Griffin reporting for Fox News, talking about these B-2 pilots out of Whiteman Air Force Base. I know you're groaning. We'll get to the groan in a minute. But here she is.
Hold off, Julie.
just reporting the facts of the mission.
Okay.
Well, I think you also have to put General Eric Kurilla into this. He's been the longtime CENTCOM commander. Operational security has been his mantra, and I would say that he has been carrying out. You really have to go back, Joey, to look at the defense of Israel back in October when Iran fired all those ballistic missiles at Israel, and General Kurilla has been working very, very closely with the Israelis ever since then. Ever since last April. This is an operation that has been long in the planning, long in the practice. We spoke to Lieutenant...
I just want to make sure everybody heard what we all just heard, which is, this goes back to when Iran was firing missiles and rockets at Israel back in October, back in April. I mean, everyone's like, well, Iran is just sitting there minding their own business. And why would you do this to them? Why would you? This is totally unprovoked. Please stop with that. Yeah. You also heard the mention of operational security. That means don't leak. This was one of the tightest operations in terms of leaks, and we'll get to that and why that may be coming up in a bit. But here's some more from Jennifer Griffin.
General Mark Wetherington, who used to be the head of Global Strike Command here at the Pentagon, and he is himself is a B-2 bomber, and he said they had practiced this run 4 years. So this is extraordinary. Wow. The B-2 pilots who fly out of Whiteman Air Force Base are among the best in the world. In fact, they are the only pilots in the world who could carry out this nonstop 36-hour round-trip mission, not landing before they returned to Whiteman, and they were not even detected in the airspace above Iran. It truly is an extraordinary mission, and everybody is acknowledging what an extraordinary job these pilots, the sailors on board, the aircraft carrier strike group, as well as those submarines, what they did to carry out the deception that was used, the intelligence involved in this. Again, these plans have been honed over the last 20 years, and there's been practice with the Israelis coordinating. But this was a U.S.-led operation. This was a U.S.-only operation. Yes, but it is truly extraordinary.
Yeah, extraordinary is right. And, yes, you just heard that the Navy was involved along with the Air Forces. There were 24 Tomahawk missiles shot from Navy vessels, as well as, of course, those extraordinary B-2 bombers. Can I just say real fast, sure. This is also an important mission for our other enemies around the world. You don't think North Korea pays attention? You don't think Russia and China sees what we're capable of doing with these stealth B-2 bombers? They were never detected. Iran never saw them coming. Nobody saw them coming.
They put the bombs down an air conditioning vent. I mean...
It was very Luke Skywalker.
You know, this morning as we were getting ready, there was a fly, and I freaked out, and I couldn't even swat the fly. I couldn't get rid of it. I mean,
I thought it was a spider.
Okay, it was a spider. But then there was a fly. Anyway, the point is it is remarkable.
Insect problem in your house.
I don't know what's going on.
Can somebody work with the infestation of the Gunlocks, please?
Yes. So I don't. You know, I think you're absolutely right about that message being sent to the rest of the world. This is chilling. Yeah. This is chilling.
It's noteworthy that this was not leaked, and there was a head fake here. So I saw reports. We all saw reports early Saturday morning of B-2s being repositioned to Guam, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, there go the B-2." So apparently the B-2s left out of Missouri, and all the reporters on the ground saw was that they're leaving. Oh my gosh, they're leaving! And then at one point, I don't know how they learned of it. Maybe this was a purposeful leak to distract the media. Because once the B-2s are up in the air, you don't know where they're going. You can't see them. They're stealth.
Right.
And the report was that they were heading to Guam. And they did. They sent some B-2s west to Guam. The other B-2s went on their mission east to Iran. And then we didn't know that it happened until after it happened. No leaks out of the Pentagon. Many people were reporting on the fact that this was tightly held from the White House with regard to who on Capitol Hill was briefed.
Jeffrey Goldberg at The Atlantic is so mad there wasn't some sort of Discord conversation on this whole thing. Where's my exclusive?
Exactly. And they were saying Democrats were not briefed on Capitol Hill. Well, that's not true. Chuck Schumer was briefed, and God bless him, he didn't leak. Okay, we'll give him that. We'll throw him a bone.
But he's saying that but these guys are saying, Larry, that Trump didn't call them. They're lying. Carolyn Leavitt came out and said that's a lie. We did courtesy calls to all of these members.
Yeah, Schumer did not claim that he wasn't. No, the media is claiming that they didn't brief the Democrats, but Schumer was briefed.
Right.
And has Schumer denied that?
I don't know, but you're right.
Oh, I thought that. Okay. Hakeem Jeffries, on the other hand, he was. They couldn't reach him. They tried. They couldn't reach him. But no, there are some people who are like Adam Schiff believes, as a junior member of the Intel Committee, that he should have been briefed on this. God. And let me just say, the biggest victim in Adam Schiff not getting briefed is Jake Tapper, because he would have had the information within 30 seconds of Adam Schiff hanging up the phone. That, and don't forget, Pete Hegseth dismissed people, and he was just criticized last week by a United States senator from Nevada for firing some people from the Pentagon. Yeah. But they were fired specifically because they had been caught leaking to the media. Not one syllable of this mission was leaked from the Pentagon.
It's incredible.
It is truly incredible. Operational security indeed. A little bit more here on the reactions from the left and the Democrats, and what this looks like this morning as the sun comes up in Washington and we see more of the reaction from the Middle East. It's 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
President Trump calling for peace now with Iran, saying now is the time for peace. Things get a lot easier from here, he said. This was, I mean, of any military strike that we might continue to engage in with Iran, this was the hardest one, short of actual troops engaged on the ground, which, again, nobody is suggesting. He also obliquely tweeted last night, or Truth Socialed, about regime change, saying, make Iran great again. And as the sun rose, Israel fired off a new round of strikes at Tehran and other Iranian cities. That happened early this morning. The Israeli military said it had identified missiles launched from Iran just hours after Trump raised the prospect of regime change. This, according to the New York Times. If you read the Washington Post, though, you got a very different story yesterday. I kid you not. They put out a post, the Washington Post did, on social media and on their website, described this way. After the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, these are the U.S. military sites that Iran could target. Right. And then it accompanying it is a really helpful map showing where every single United States... I mean, it's not like Iran didn't already know this.
Right.
But still, I mean, they're it's like, if you don't want to be referred to as the enemy of the people, maybe you shouldn't do the actual things that the enemy of America would do, which is put out a map saying, hey, here's where Iran could strike to kill American troops.
It's not, no, look, I cannot believe I'm about to defend the Washington Post, but you sort of did too. I mean, look, there are probably hidden posts out in the Middle East, okay, that we don't know about, okay? I mean, for goodness sake.
Reveal that.
That's what I'm saying. I think these are the obvious ones that everyone knows about, that are sort of around knows about. It's not like the Washington Post headline was, and here are some secret, bases that no one knows about. Hey, breaking news, we found some secret bases. So I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making it like, but it does read and look. It just bad.
It looks bad. It's a bad look for Bezos and his Post, Democracy Dies in Darkness. All right, real fast, I want to get to this. As you know, much was made of Tulsi Gabbard's testimony in March, where she said that the indications are that they aren't moving on a nuclear weapon program yet. And then it's cut. Like, people edited the clip. They only showed that. She immediately then said they have enriched and stockpiled uranium enriched to 60%, which is well beyond any use for commercial purposes. So she indicated they had all of the components for a nuclear weapon.
They haven't built one yet. Yes.
Right. And she made that point clear. Everyone is taking that clip out of context, saying your own director of national intelligence said that they don't have a weapon. Here is Margaret Brennan trying to make that point with Marco Rubio yesterday. It did not end well for Margaret Brennan.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
What?
That's irrelevant. I see that question being asked in the media. That's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they
key
need to build
point
a weapon.
in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not.
The political decision had
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No. They're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but that's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon. Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms. They have the enrichment capability. They have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see.
Right. Well, and
especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all
yes, and no one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here. And they were censured at the IAEA for that enrichment and for violating their non-proliferation agreements. I was simply asking if we had intelligence that there was an order to weaponize, because you said weaponization ambitions.
Well, we have intelligence that they have everything they need to build a nuclear weapon, and that's more than enough.
Okay.
Well, I don't know why CBS News continues to roll her out, but it's not a good look.
You know, someone on Twitter said over the weekend, they said, does she actually prepare? And I mean, does she prep at all for these interviews? Because it's embarrassing for her.
It is. It's rough. And once again, Marco Rubio rising to the top here with an absolutely brilliant performance again. You know, much more on this dominant story throughout the morning. Keep it here at 6:23.
Coming up, we're going to be talking to Manda Zand Ervin. She's the founder and president of the Alliance of Iranian Women. We'll talk to her about this weekend's big news out of the Middle East and what Trump meant when he talked about regime change. Keep it here. It's 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:37. Thanks for tuning in here to O'Connor and Company on a very busy Monday morning as we continue our full coverage of the monumental events of the weekend. Starting at 7:05, Joe DeGenova will be our guest. 7:35, Jonathan Schanzer for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. 8:05, Caroline Glick, who's an advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And then at 8:35, the chairman of the RNC, Michael Whatley. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
One would hope that women's rights groups here in the United States and all through the West are eagerly anticipating regime change in Iran after the obliteration of their nuclear program. One of the worst offenders with regard to women's rights, basic human rights. Last I checked, women's rights are human rights, don't you know? Manda Zand Ervin is the founder and president of the Alliance of Iranian Women, and she has been speaking out for so long against how the Khomeini regime has been absolutely devastating to women in that country. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us basically a snapshot of where things are right now? As we heard reports over the course of the last couple of weeks that there is rising unrest in Iran trying to lash out against this totalitarian regime.
Yes, there is. First of all, there is a strike throughout Iran. It started by truck drivers. This regime is not Iranian. They hate Iranians. What they are doing to Iranians is unbelievably cruel. And when Iranian people rose up, if you remember 2009, when people of Iran rose up, women rose up time and again, the world ignored the women of Iran. Nobody came to the support of Iranian women. But they have been blinding Iranian women. They have been in prison. They have been torturing their family and children. And the economy is completely gone. The people are hungry. The children are eating out of garbage cans. But the children of Khomeini are living in France and in the United States. And their daughters, we have the videos and pictures of them, who are living shortcut night clothes, and they are having fun in the West, in the parties.
I would love your reaction. Last week, Whoopi Goldberg on the View said she compared Black Americans' lives to the lives of Iranian women and Iranian citizens in general. it was a despicable comment, and she has gotten some blowback. But what was your reaction? How, and just to keep in mind, The View is part of ABC News, and they promote this kind of garbage. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, I was really angry when I heard that. I wrote her a letter.
Oh, good.
And I told her, you should be ashamed of what you say. And you who is constantly fighting for human rights of Americans in America, attacking the white against the black and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Why do you support a regime who is the most cruel, unjust, and terrible regime that Iranian people don't want? And they are forced on Iranian people. Iranian people have stood up time and again.
Yes.
But the world has ignored the people of Iran. All they have done is supporting the regime because you know what? The regime is giving them free oil and gas. They are not the money that they make from gas and oil in Iran and the wealth of Iran all goes to themselves and their allies. But the Iranian people are suffering.
We're speaking with Manda Zand Ervin. She's the founder and president of the Alliance of Iranian Women. And I agree. I think that the oil and the gas and the access to cheap oil is a big reason why people have been silent and not opposed to this regime and its obvious human rights violations. But also I think people were afraid. I think people have been afraid because this is a terrorist state and they have utilized terrorism to terrorize the world. That's the funny thing about terrorism. Now that the Iranian nuclear program appears to have been decimated, if not completely obliterated, do you expect the world to rise up now? Do you expect people to actually start putting their money where their mouth is? Because, Western Europeans and various countries, they like to make a lot of noise about women's rights and about human rights. But then when, the rubber hits the road, if they want that cheap oil, they go ahead and take their cheap oil.
Right.
Yes, you're right. This oil has not become a good thing for Iranian people. It's been the source of Iranian people being tortured. But it's there, and no matter who's in Iran, the oil will be sold. But, this whole regime came about because the Shah was not willing to give the oil to the British, who took it for 50 years for free, and said you have to pay for it. And that's what happened. They brought Khomeini in. I have Khomeini's letter, who wrote to President Carter and said, you put me in charge, I'll give you everything you want. But these inhumane treatment of Iranian people, Iranian children. I mean, when I see the pictures, when I see the videos that I get from my sisters inside Iran, the members of our organization, Alliance of Iranian Women, I cry. Why? Why is it that those children with all that wealth in that country have to eat out of garbage cans?
Yeah. Well, listen, Ms. Zand Ervin, I know that you came here in the early 80s as a political refugee from Iran, and I know that you've been watching this for decades now. And I can only imagine what it's like for you to now potentially see an end to this terrorist state after all of these decades. I hope that comes true for you. I do. And I appreciate you lending your voice here this morning on our program. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just ask President Trump? I voted for him 3 times. And I have depended on President Trump to support the people of Iran, stand by the people of Iran, who are the greatest friends of America. Even now, when Iran, their lives have been ignored by the world,
What is it you want President? What is it specifically you want President Trump to do?
I want President Trump to stand by the people of Iran. Well, you know what they can do, what can be done. Yes, if the support from this regime is not there, if they are not supported anymore from the world, they will be gone. And that would support the people of Iran to pour into the streets. They are now all over the country. Iranians are on strike. But I don't hear it on the news in America.
Well, I assure you, if President Trump had control of the news in America, I assure you, you would see quite a bit. But your message was heard. I assure you, the White House listens. All right,
please,
thank you. So we got to leave it there. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Okay. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I love that passion. Absolutely.
Time.
It is 6:45. Coming up, it's our 7 o'clock hour. We'll kick things off with Joe DeGeneva, and then we'll check in with Jonathan Schanzer with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Plenty more to come. Keep it here. It's O'Connor and Company this Monday morning in your nation's capital with Larry and Julie.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9.